And so as we breathe into this now moment, I'm going to start off today's talk by sharing a video that very concisely speaks about the mystical experience, which is when we are residing in our superconscious mind and we are at one. It is the pathway of our transcendental intuition that I spoke about last week. When that pathway is open, when we have transcended and moved from the subconscious to conscious to the highest, as Jesus spoke, to the mountaintop of our being. And it is when we have those moments where we are connected to that which is beyond the physical, that really escapes how to put it into words, because it is an experience. And so I'm going to share this video and then we will talk on the other side.
Throughout much of human history, sages have spoken about the mystical experience, perhaps the most meaningful experience that human beings are capable of having. The mystical experience is an encounter with the transcendent, right? It's an encounter with the numinous, what Otto Rank described as the mysterium tremendum e fascinosum of reality, when the doors of perception are cleansed. And the mystical experience has some characteristics, some persistent hallmarks that always show up, no matter the culture or worldview and belief system of whoever is having it. So there's these common attributes that show up with mystical experiences, and they are the following. The mystical experience is characterized by feelings of cosmic unity, feelings of oneness with everything, feelings of interconnection. The mystical experience is characterized by feelings of transcendence of time and of space. The mind freed from the shackles of the ego, freed from the constraints of time and space. The mystical experience is characterized by positive mood lifting, right? A feeling of bliss, a feeling of ecstasy, a feeling of gratitude, right? Pure magic. The mystical experience is characterized by feelings of the sacred, of connecting with the divine. The mystical experience is characterized by ineffability, a feeling that you can't quite put it into words, that it's an experience beyond language. You can't clothe it with language. The mystical experience is characterized by feelings of paradoxicality, feelings where you can hold multiple perspectives in mind at once, where contradictions are reconciled, where you can conceive of opposites and somehow hold them in mind at once. The mystical experience is characterized by its fleeting quality. It's something that can emerge and can dissolve just as quickly. It's a finite experience. A mystical experience is characterized by feelings of transformative change that are lasting. So even though it's a temporary experience, a person is forever transformed. New perspectives are glimpsed. New visionary understanding is felt. And so a person is forever made better. A person feels like they've seen the light, whereas once we were blind, now we can see. And finally, a mystical experience leaves us with a quality of an noetic flavor, right? There's this sense that what was seen and what was understood and what was felt has some deeper veracity than everyday reality, has some kind of deeper meaning beyond our normal literal grid. There's a sense that there is ultimate truth and ultimate meaning to what was apprehended, and this lasts indefinitely. So these are the hallmarks of a mystical experience, something that as human beings we should all aim to encounter at least once in our lives, because as David Foster Wallace wrote, the alternative is unconsciousness, the default setting, the rat race, the constant gnawing sense of having had and lost some infinite thing.
So give me what he's having, right? So last week when we spoke about the intuitive pathway of transcendental intuition, we talked about it being the pathway to our superconscious mind, having that pathway open, the pathway where we glean universal truth, where we have the experience of oneness, where we don't just talk about our divinity, but we are in the full embodiment of that knowing. So if you would like, to the best of my ability, last week's talk was about trying to understand what that was. So if you weren't present last week and you're interested, you can go to unitybytheshore.org and look for the archives of talks and look at that. So that moves us into today, where we are going to explore
Throughout much of human history,
how do we support ourselves in moving into the shift of our superconscious unified heart mind, right? Residing in that higher place of consciousness. When we began the series, what was in alignment with what Kim Chesney speaks about, Carl Jung speaks about. We talked about co-founder Charles Fillmore, where he talked about the different phases of mind, sensing, feeling, thinking, and then the highest is that intuiting, and that is when we are residing beyond physical and we are tapped into superconscious mind, where the realm of divine ideas reside. So Kim Chesney, in her book Radical Intuition, speaks about 3 vital practices that help us make that shift into superconscious mind, in that unified heart mind. And so you see this pattern as we talked about the other pathways of intuition. She will bring into the practice of each pathway the practice of attunement, meditation. We've explored the different types of meditation. And then today we're going to talk about creating a spiritual ritual in our lives. And so we start with attunement. Again, attune means to be aware of, to focus in, to become in harmony with it. So know that the superconscious practice of attunement builds off of all the other pathways, attunement practices. Physical pathway, we talked about attuning and unblocking any stagnant energy by physically attuning, by moving our bodies, by eating healthy nutrition. And being mindful of moving our bodies is to meet yourself right where you are physically able, knowing that you can do movement in your chair, that you could do stretches in your chair, and also doing deep breath work is part of that physical attuning. We explored mindful attuning, right? Where you create some white space in your life rather than moving from task to task, responsibility to responsibility. Having your plate always full is to create that time where you just rest, time where you focus on your own self-care and self-love, time where you engage in play, and time where you just rest and are still. And then we looked at creative attuning, right? Being in the flow, becoming aware of, where we begin to more and more catch ourselves when we are looking to the outside world for answers, for people, the jobs report, so on and so on, and rather go within and seek our answers there. Also, by allowing our creative juices to flow, by stepping out of our comfort zone in small and maybe big ways. And then we also looked at insight journaling, where we maybe read something that is spiritually uplifting and then just see what flows, or just put the hand in your other hand and then begin journaling as to, becoming still as to what is, in your heart and your mind, and what is, the desires of your heart that you're being asked to bring forth into creative expression and into manifestation. So now that brings us to the practice that Kim Chesney shares with us for transcendental intuition attunement. And I'm going to start by giving a clue. There is one simple practice that wise ones of all kinds use for moving into a higher state of being. This is a secret shared by the monks, yogis, saints, and great teachers of all time. It is so simple that it consists of only 5 letters. So I'm going to invite you to take a guess what that 5-letter attunement practice is. And if you've read the book and you know it, then don't put it in, wait until other people take an intuitive insight guess. Being still. All right, so I'm going to give you a clue. What did I ask you to do at the beginning of meditation today? To greet yourself with a smile. Bingo. Awesome. Yes, it is a smile. So let's take a look at the power of a smile, right? Smiling is an instant upshift in our energy, vibration, and frequency. It helps to lighten us up, to lighten us into, we could be so focused on all the things we have to do, all our responsibilities, and maybe sometimes we can get in that groove of all that might be wrong or what we're disappointed on, right? And so a simple smile, even sometimes we may not feel like it, but when you smile, just do it again. Smile, just notice what you sense in your beingness, right? It can, again, take us off the focus of ourselves. It reconnects us with the joy of our being. And as I shared in the beginning of meditation and at the end of meditation, it is a powerful tool in meditation, even in mindfulness. There's the line when we have done that, breathing in, I smile, breathing out, I release. And there's like this energetic shift. Just looking at this beautiful woman here on the screen, right? There is just a contagion, a vibrational feeling that lights up your heart from within. And so how could we look at this little precious one, come on. How could we bring a smile, more smiles to our day? How could we do that? And it starts with intention, right? So I know some of you, and I know me, I often greet people with a smile. I know during times where we were masking, that was more challenging, but I was setting the intention from smiling within. But now just knowing, like, how often do you greet each person? Sometimes we're just into what we're doing and we can, forget to do that. But trying to set that intention to smile to everybody that you encounter. Sometimes when we have a difficult relationship, or we're in a conversation that can be heated or challenging. Now, maybe having a broad, I may not use that word, to having a smile like this baby, people would think like you're being rude or you're not really listening to them or making fun of them. But I mean, like when you learn how to do that inner smile, right? Where you're like even saying the word from within, it helps to lighten you in this presence. And then again, don't forget that we also can be influencers in our world by what we are holding in consciousness. Cultivating a resting smile, just like some of you may set your timer on your phone, on your computer to remind you if you have a desk job to get up and move. Okay, to get up. Okay, it's time for me to say, my affirmations. It's time for me to create that white space. You could actually set a timer and remind yourself to check in what is the facial expression that I have in my countenance in this moment? Because it can reveal what's going on in your consciousness, subconsciousness, and then, bring yourself into the power of a smile intentionally. And it can actually help us transmute lower energy that we are experiencing, that we might not even be aware of or conscious aware of. And like I spoke of before, we can begin and end our meditation with smile and cultivate that resting smile throughout. So speaking of meditation, another practice to help us make a shift into superconscious mind, to open ourselves to the realm of infinite possibilities, to the realm of divine ideas, to that experience, direct experience of enlightenment, oneness, embracing and knowing our divinity, is meditation, right? Every practice we've been looking at meditation, it is that way that brings us into that stillness where we can listen. And we've explored many different ones. And so the purpose of the meditation, in all the different types, really helps to elevate your energy, vibration, and frequency. And there may be different focuses. Maybe one meditation is more geared towards, doing affirmations about, healing our body or around our bodies. And then there is mindful meditation, breathing in, I know I'm breathing in, breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. Or we can be mindful by looking at the flame of a candle or watching the breath coming in and out of our nose. So the transcendental meditation is, again, we can really put them in that class because that could all help us lead into the stillness and lead into superconscious mind experience. But here she's putting a focus on lifting our vibration into really speaking words of truth, of oneness, of affirming our oneness with God, infinite potential, the absolute realm, and affirming our own divinity. And some of those practices could be the visualization, like I did a little bit today, where we're calling that forth. Also, through chanting and toning and whirling, the Sufi practice of whirling can help shift us into different altered states. There is sound immersion, right? There's the crystal bowls, gongs, Native American drums, flutes, all different kinds. And when you allow yourself to be in the different frequencies and vibrations, whether it be of the chakras and that sound, it can really have a powerful uplifting effect on your whole beingness. Spending time in the stillness in a place that brings you such joy and you find to be reverent and beautiful, your own garden at a park, at the ocean somewhere, and just, sensing your oneness, being still, speaking words of appreciation, of beauty. And then there is, affirmations of oneness and invocations of truth. And I'm going to be sharing one at the end of our service this morning. So the third vital practice is creating devotional spiritual rituals, right? Creating daily practice, weekly practice that connects us and opens all of our intuitive pathways. And so she gives a 4-step model for you to use. And so it's 1, unblocking and getting into the flow. 2, quieting the mind. 3, receiving insight. And 3, uplifting your spirit. So let's take a look at each one of these. So unblocking and getting into the flow. Like in Unity, one of the ways that we do the unblocking, yes, there is movement, but that is the practice of a denial where we speak the facts of something that in our lives that we might be having difficulty with. We know that it exists, like, okay, my wash machine broke and I have to buy a new one. And maybe I have, limited amount of funds in my checking account. So, there is that fact, but the breaking of the wash machine and what I have in my checking account is powerless over the abundance that is available to me in this universe. And it does not have the power to take my joy from me, right? So there's that unblocking when we can cough up the hairballs of the things that we are fearful of. But also it means using the physical pathway of movement, right? Getting our juices going, unblocking stagnant energy. And so on the screen here are some practices. And again, meet yourself where you are physically able. And so in the chat, share which one of these physical practices you may use to help unblock or get you in the flow. Yes, Donna, when masked, we can still smile with our eyes and our heart. Absolutely. So which one of these do you practice? Deep breath, yoga, running, dance, working out, dance, gentle stretching, stretching and breathing. So we got a lot of physical juices flowing here in this group. All right. Bicycling. Yes, that's another one. Working out and dance. Beautiful. All right. Let's see. There's one more, two more. Looking at the trees. Yes. And that is when we go into the mindfulness, but we can dance among the trees as well. So here we go. So next part is quieting the mind. Again, this is that mindful pathway, right? Where we relax and calm our brains, right? Sometimes that monkey mind can just go non-stop. And so sometimes instead of fighting with it, it's just allowing it and then choosing something else to focus on. So we are just bringing ourselves into settling and intentionally filling our minds that which we would like to hold. And that is that mindful meditation, breath work, where we're counting our breaths in and out. We're making, visualizing each breath as we draw an invisible box in front of us. Using affirmations and mantras. We've spoken about these. And then using mala beads to help us focus. Because sometimes, we say an affirmation and then, oh my God, what am I going to have for lunch? So we just bring ourselves back, and the beads can also be a way for us to stay mindful. And all of that, all meditations helps us to go into that place if we so, into the resting place stillness, to sit amongst the trees or wherever you are. So any one of these do you practice? If you want to put that in the chat box, which one is one of your favorites? Whoops, wrong. My mouse is dancing all over the place. Okay, so we'll move on to receiving insight. And so as we get our juices flowing, as we look at lower vibrational thinking and things that could clog our energy and our vibration, and we get into that stillness, we are seeking the insight, revealing the still voice, sometimes the loud voice from within. And we can set the intention to ask for intuitive guidance. Remember, instead of looking out here, I get this divine idea. Okay, what's my first step in bringing this into expression? And so some of those practices are insight meditation. We've done the practice of the cards, the ones that don't have any words or description. And you ask, you set the intention of what it is that you're seeking guidance on. And then as you draw that image and you breathe deep and slow, you allow yourself to see where you are first drawn to. You don't try to figure it out. You look at the first symbol, the second symbol, and then you create a story without, again, struggling to figure it out. And then there is the insight journal, where you're journaling about what you're seeking guidance on. Okay, and that moves to the fourth part, uplift your spirit. And again, this is all about bringing us into the superconscious awareness, revitalizing your spirit, energizing the expansiveness of your consciousness, practicing the presence. When you are encountering somebody and perhaps you're smiling, instead of thinking about what you're going to say next, just be present, just listen. Notice the sights, notice the sounds, notice what's alive in your body. Listening to uplifting music. Again, appreciation of beauty. Doing transcendental meditations that we spoke of. Any meditation is beautiful and wonderful. Chanting and then smiling. So these are the 4 steps. And so how do you bring these steps of engaging all of your pathways into your daily spiritual ritual, into your weekly spiritual ritual? So there's 4 things to keep in mind, because lots of times, we'll do a workout this day, we'll do, our meditation in the morning, and that's all fine. But what would it be like if you create a practice that engenders flowing from one to the other to the other? And so she suggests practicing 2 to 3 times at a bare minimum. Again, this is all about helping for us to make the shift into superconscious mind. Once a day is ideal. Twice a day, maybe in the morning and at night, is exceptional. And really, it helps you to do that energy shift. And then there is the suggestion of making your practice, whenever it is, 10 minutes or longer. One of the things that I started to do is, I'll put on a song for 2.5 minutes and I'll start moving, and I just allow my body to just go where it wants to. And then I move into some breathing in and out of my nose where I become mindful and I say some affirmations. And then I eventually move myself into stillness as I listen to beautiful music that uplifts my spirit. And times I just ask, what is it that needs to be revealed? Or other times I may set that intention of wanting some insight. It is super, super important to schedule. Yes, just like you set a schedule to go to the eye doctor, to meet a friend, things that you have to show up for your Zoom meetings, in-person meetings, you schedule them in to take care of a parent or a loved one, right? You schedule that in. So this is about looking and scheduling yourself in to know when you are going to engage in your spiritual ritual, engaging all of your 4 pathways. And then choosing a space that is a high vibrational space, not picking dark places or in the basement, unless you put lots of light around it, but things that have the elements, rocks, and things where you just feel like it's your sanctuary, and whatever that beauty looks like to you, only you know. And so, my friends, I invite you to transcendental intuition attunement, which is the making that shift into superconscious mind, intentionally using your power of dominion to make the choice, right? Where will I reside this day? And what tools may I use to allow me to elevate into that superconscious experience of mind? And so I'd like to close today with an invocation of truth. And this one is written by Kim Chesney. And so I invite you to close your eyes as you allow these words to come alive within you. Truth, awaken within me. Illuminate me with your presence. Shine your light into all the dark places. Speak to me. Shower me with the light of your peace and understanding. Show me the way to my highest path. Move me closer to you in passionate inspiration. Uplift my being with your radiant joy. Infuse my body with your healing light. Infuse my mind with the light of wisdom. Infuse my heart with creative passion. Infuse my spirit with loving kindness. Truth, come alive within me. Set me free in you. Blessings. Have a wonderful week, and may you reside in the superconscious, unified heart mind of your being. Have a blessed day. Have a blessed week.
And our affirmative prayer today: the more I embody my intuitive state of being, super conscious mind, the more naturally I experience higher dimensions of being. Beautiful. At this time, our guardian angel will stop recording our service.